Hello, and welcome to Live Healthy, Be Happy with Amy Bolton. That's me. So I'm here to talk to you today about the changes to the Canada Food Guide. Now, why I'm so excited about them. I've been talking about this like all week since I actually seen the food guide and seen that it was out. And it's been pretty exciting for me, and I'll explain why that's been exciting for me and why I know I've been into nutrition for quite a while, and going to school to be an integrative nutrition health coach has really inspired me to pay attention to what I eat. And the Canada Food Guide, as well as food guides from around the world, have not been quite fitting within the guidelines that I would like to encourage people and that I would encourage my clients to follow. So I'll talk a little bit about what changes have happened and what that kind of looks like. I'd like to show you kind of what the plate looks like on my tablet here. It's asking me if I want to switch to tablet mode because I had it on my keyboard. So the plate looks like this now, and as you can see, it is half fruits and vegetables. So this has been recommended for quite a while from a lot of researchers and a lot of different countries who have very healthy health standards. So as you can see, there's a quarter of it is proteins. So they've taken out dairy and they've kind of incorporated it into the protein category. And then they encourage whole grains, and then you can see lots of fruits and vegetables, right? And drinking water as your choice. I think milk was on the previous food guide as a drink of choice as well. So that is pretty neat. And now what ends up happening is they also are encouraging, on the other page of the food guide, they're encouraging us to be mindful of our eating habits, which is amazing. It's so good. So when you look at being mindful of your eating habits, they're talking about thinking about how you eat, when you eat, who you eat with, how much you eat. So these things. So there's no more portion control. So they're not saying, okay, eat a little bit of this, a fist size of that, a thumb size of that, and I'm worrying about measuring or sizes and things. It's like more intuitive eating, right? And so that is what I would encourage somebody to do, is eat to what feels good for you and be mindful of it, right? Chewing your food, chewing your food as many times as you can, tasting it, enjoying your food. They encourage you to enjoy your food and eat with others. And because when we're eating with others, what happens is we're going to be trying new foods. There's the social aspect of it, which is so healthy and enriching. And not just eating with others like at social events, but eating with others on a regular basis. So planning those lunch dates, planning those. I know I have meals quite often through work for my families and for moms who I work with and families I work with. And it's a great time for families to get together and to try new things and to connect with other people. And it's just such a great social event. So, trying to plan more regular get-togethers with people around food, right? And trying new different foods and getting around that. So it's so wonderful that they're encouraging this. And the way it was created, there was no influence by industry or any of the major food manufacturers. It was all based on research and science, right? And the research out there that says what is good for us, which is really cool. And who this is really going to influence is like the daycares, the schools that need to follow these guidelines, right? So the breakfast programs, when the kids come in for breakfast, they're going to be encouraged to feed the children half of their plate fruits and vegetables and a quarter grains, and the other quarter is some sort of protein sources, right? So this is going to be really big for our children as well, and not having so much dairy all the time. Not to say that dairy's, we're all bio individuals. So, right, I encourage people to see what works well for them. I know my children, they love dairy. I grew up with a lot of dairy, but these days I find it doesn't really sit so well with me. And so it's important for us to be very mindful and thoughtful of when we eat, how is it influencing our body? How is it impacting our body? How is it impacting our mental health, right? Are we more depressed? Are we more anxious because we've eaten? Are we more, is our tummy upset? Are we just not feeling ourselves? Are we more alert, or do we have less energy after we eat certain things? So I always encourage people to take a food diary and write out what they're eating and how they're feeling throughout the day, and see if there's a correlation between what you're eating and how you're feeling, right? So this is, being mindful of your eating habits is one of the recommendations, and I think it's so amazing because it's more of that intuitive eating that I encourage people, feelings, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, what's happening when we're eating these different foods, right? You're so mindful of your senses, chewing, the textures, the tastes, the smells, just, enjoying it. So that's really, really exciting. And the other recommendations that they've talked about is being aware of food marketing. So they have a whole section on that, being aware of the fact that people can kind of put whatever they want on the labels and say, this is gluten-free, dairy-free, etc., but yet it's full of sugar, and it's a Twizzler that's just sugar and a whole bunch of not so good stuff, right? So there's things out there that they can make look healthy, but they're not actually healthy. So being aware of that and reading the labels and reading the nutrition labels, reading the ingredient lists, they're encouraging all of that, which they have been for a while, but again, it's kind of all laid out in a new fancy format. So you can see there's lots of really good recipes too. I was looking at the recipe section, and for me, a big thing is reducing a lot of processed sugar. So trying to make sure there's a lot less sugars in my diet, and monitoring the fruits and making sure I'm eating fruits that are more of on a less sugar scale, right? So less sweetness to them, so more berries rather than oranges and apples, etc. Not that I'm not eating oranges and apples, it's just reducing them rather than eating so many of them at once. So there's that as well, and it's wonderful. Like I say, there's some really good recipes. There's a really good recipe online that, through Canada's Food Guide, that is a muffin recipe, and it has no added sugar in it. It's wonderful, because the wonders of vegetables and fruits that we can put into our baking, that already adds its own natural sweetness, right? So it has naturally occurring sugars, but not those added sugars. So things like bananas, things like sweet potatoes, right? And by encouraging people to put more zucchini, bananas, those things into their baking is going to up your fruit and veggie intake, right? Simply by just doing that. So adding some of these things, I know it's one of the issues that has been brought up with all my excitement about this is how accessible fruits and vegetables are within a lot of our northern areas and smaller areas. So we end up eating a lot of frozen fruits and vegetables and doing lots of different smoothies, and just frozen fruits and vegetables are better than canned, right? So that's what is going to need to happen a lot more for a lot of people, and it's a lot more affordable than fresh, right? We can have frozen spinach. There's so many things that you can freeze. You can freeze pretty much any fruit and vegetables. So that's going to be the way that a lot of people are going, I think, until things are a bit more affordable. But let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you've seen it. I will drop the link in the comments, and you can check it out and let me know how you're doing. Let me know if what you think about your country's food guide and the standards and the plate and what it looks like, and what you feel about it. I'd love to know your thoughts. Have a wonderful day, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.